Hey guys, I'm Nomesh Games, and I recently just published the early demo for my indie game, The Larcenist. It's a GTA-like game, set in Perth, Western Australia, and I've been working on it for almost 2 years now. In the last video, I said that I just had to add a couple more features before January 31st, which was my deadline. In this video, I will show what I was doing in the last few weeks of January to finish up my game. One of the first things I did was add a concrete texture to the terrain, as the texture I had before was a debug texture that ended up just rendering as white in a build. Then, I took a look at my weapon dealer model, and then looked at the rest of my newer NPCs, and felt it was time to de-Robloxify him. So I replaced the Roblox character with the normal NPC model, and I gave him a sick suit jacket, so now he looks very suave. While I was debugging some things while the cops were chasing me, I saw a policeman running towards my car, wanting to come in. So of course, I let him in, and then he started chilling in my car with me. I realised that the bug which caused this was due to the fact that NPCs who are following the player will always enter the player's car, and I mean always. This included NPCs who were previously unloading a clip into the player, who after the player entered a car, lost all violent tendency. Next thing I added was the ability for cars to honk their horns or use their siren. Before this, when the player had the cops, they would just chase the player around with no sound, which wasn't very cool. So I added the police siren to the cops that turned on when they were chasing the player. Because the system for sirens could also be used for regular car horns, I added the ability to honk the horn in normal cars, so now, if you block traffic for too long, they will beep at you. Wait, no! Not this more! I added a pause menu with music inspired by GTA 5's pause menu music, which I really like. I also added a save system, so now you can save and load most of your progress. It doesn't yet save the positions of cars and stuff like that, but I will add that a bit later in development, as I didn't think that was needed for the early demo. Around this time, I started to work on making actual playable missions. I had the basic framework in place to be able to do this, but it was still missing a few key things, so I added things like mission fail and succeed conditions, and mission objective indicators on the minimap. While I was adding things to the minimap, I also added minimap icons for the player's house and the gun dealer. My mission system had the ability for characters to say dialogue, so the next thing I did was get a few of my friends together to record a bunch of dialogue lines. I got them to help with voicing some of the NPCs, but we didn't really care about the quality of our acting or the script, as this was just an early demo, so that's how this stuff happened. Alright, I need to get a car.
Hey, what are you doing here? You ready to do this?
As ready as I can be. Mason, put your mask on. And you better keep it on, otherwise I'll put you in a ditch and steal your take for myself.
You guys better not kill me. I have like 30 followers on Snapstagram.
I move in the shadows, the cops will never get me.
Sure. After a bit of work with my mission system, I managed to churn out 3 missions. A mission where you steal a getaway car for a heist, a mission where you steal weapons for a heist, and a jewel store heist. Later, when it comes time to add actual missions for the final game, I will probably make a better, more easier to work with mission editor, as the way I edit them right now is very confusing. I often end up editing the wrong things, and there are surely better ways I could do it. For the next few months of development, the 3 missions I have at the moment will be good enough for development, as I'll probably be working on polishing up a small portion of the game, including the map, NPC AI, and cars, so extra missions aren't really needed yet. I also added a really scrappy tutorial, which consisted of a maze full of walls of text and images. This tutorial was kinda tacked on, which is why it's quite bad, but I needed a quick way to teach the player the gameplay, and I didn't want to put too much effort into an interactive tutorial, only for something to change later in development, causing me to have to change it. A while ago, in an effort to make developing a bit easier, I decided to move the Unity project from my laptop to my PC. This came with a lot of stress and anxiety that I might have accidentally corrupted the entire project without a recent backup, but I somehow managed to fix it up and then immediately created a Unity cloud backup of it, just in case I'm not as lucky in the future. Anyway, fast forward to January 31st, I was finalising the different builds for the game. I successfully built a Windows build, but because Unity on Windows can't really build a working Mac build, I had to download the project from the cloud onto my laptop, which didn't really go well. As soon as I downloaded it, there were loads of console errors. I tried re-importing everything, restarting my laptop, and at one point my laptop even crashed. I banged my head against this until about 8:30 PM, close to when I had to release the game. But luckily, I realised the issue was with some of my building models. When Unity imports .blend models, I think it uses Blender to help with the importing. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I think what was happening was it was crashing Blender when the models were imported into Unity. It also crashed Blender when I opened the .blend files myself, so I realised the issue was with the version of Blender I had on my laptop. So I updated Blender, the errors went away, and my models came back. So finally, I was able to build the Mac build and publish the page to itch.io. I celebrated the release of the demo with my friends, and we played through the very janky demo. After a bit, debug.dev decided to start speedrunning, which turned out to be quite fun, as the overall jankiness of the demo made it great for finding ways to optimize the speedrun. After we did some speedrunning, I applied for the game to be put on speedrun.com, not expecting it to be accepted at all. But much to my surprise, a day or so later, I got an email saying it was accepted. So if anyone watching enjoys speedrunning, I recommend you check out the speedrun.com page and maybe submit a run of your own. Currently, the world record is set by Tetron Studios with 3 minutes and 56 seconds. Another thing, if you're enjoying this video so far, please like and subscribe. I make game development videos like this every month or so, and it helps out a lot. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how the last year of development went, with the fact I was able to make a plan, stick to it, adjust it when I needed to cut down on scope, and eventually release the demo. After the release, I took a 1-month break from development on The Larcenist, as I've been working on it as my main focus for about a year, without taking much breaks for other things. As for the future of the project, I will be spending the next few months polishing up the game to a presentable state, then after that, I will be adding content like new missions and cars to fill it up, while also continuing polish along the way. I might create a Steam page at some point, but it is a bit complicated, at least in Australia, so that's not absolutely guaranteed. I probably won't set any more strict deadlines for myself this year, just to not stress myself out too much. But don't worry though, The Larcenist will continue to be my main project, and I'll keep making monthly devlogs on it. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you haven't tried it out yet, the link to the Larcenist MVP demo along with the speedrun.com page is in the description. See you next time.